Thanks for jumping on the call today. We really appreciate that. And today, I wanted to cover the 4 killer tactics for improving your productivity and efficiency with Creo and Windchill. And we are going to cover how you're going to do that using the Punditas AI Platform. So to introduce myself, I am Madhavi Ramesh. I am the founder and CEO of this company, and I was at PTC for a very long time, for about 10 years. I left PTC to start this product development company. And Punditas means experts in the Indian language. And with that said, let me begin by showing you what we have developed and how it can improve your productivity. So we are a Boston-based company, and our offering is completely cloud-based, which means there is really nothing to install on your premise. And we have solutions for CAD, PLM, IoT, MRP, ERP, pretty much any enterprise application. What we have built is a horizontal platform, and hence we can support any enterprise app. Also, we are focused on the models-based journey, whether it is model-based definition, model-based enterprise, and so forth. And it's also sometimes called the digital thread, digital tapestry, it goes by various names. So we have a number of partnerships in place. We are a partner of PTC User, as well as the PTC itself as a partner Advantage member. We're also partners with Autodesk and numerous other software OEM. Just recently signed up Tristar as our reseller, and we are really pleased to have them on board. This is a list of some of our customers that are currently using our software and pretty pleased with our solution. So what do? We deliver an AI platform that offers product knowledge. And when I talk about product knowledge, I'm talking about the tips, tricks, tutorials, best practices, all the issues and so forth for the enterprise users, which is based on each user's personal style and preference. And we are able to do this because we have our own proprietary machine learning and cognitive computing algorithms. And I know I've thrown a lot of jargons in here, but I will clarify as we go along with this presentation. Today, I want to cover 4 use cases with the Punditas AI platform. I want to begin by talking to how our platform can help you resolve issues in a timely manner, as well as monitor, develop, and track your organization's knowledge needs so that you can provide individualized product training for your users, as well as how our platform can help with the continuous learning based on each user's style and preference. And the reasons why you would want to consider our platform is because it would improve the productivity of your users, provides you higher confidence, lower operational costs, and you can make smarter decisions. And you will see how you can do this as we move along. With that said, I want to begin by saying CAD, PLM, business, IT administrators, however you call them, I'm just going to call them admins. And the admins are in a precarious position on the one side, having to deal with the enterprise applications, and on the other side, they have to deal with the application users. And your company has expectations of admins as well as the users also, I'm referring them to as engineers. So if we look at the expectations of your company for the admins, I would imagine it would fall into one of these 2 buckets. Meaning, in order to support your enterprise software, CAD, Windchill, and any other enterprise software, the admins must carry out certain activities on a daily basis as well as on a periodic basis. Now, on a daily basis, I would imagine that you would, like to proactively monitor the product issues to avoid any extreme consequences. And perhaps on a daily basis, you might need to troubleshoot and help user-related issues as well. On a periodic basis, I think you will need to consider, your strategy for updating or upgrading the software, as well as perhaps training and mentoring your user base. Hopefully that, this resonates with what happens at your company. So do let me know if you think it's otherwise with your company. So broadly, these are the 4 categories. So if I were to summarize these 4 expectations of your company, of admins, firstly, proactively monitor product issues, i.e. bugs, fixes, enhancements, etc. Then troubleshoot and resolve the user-related issues. That's the second expectation. Strategize and upgrade the software, as well as monitor and train based on the organization needs. Now, if I were to now turn to the other side, which is the application user side of things, I think your company has expectations of the engineers or the users, right? One of the expectations is that engineers undergo the product and the process training. And when I talk about product, it is Creo, Windchill, etc. And the second expectation is that engineers must adopt and use the enterprise software efficiently. Engineers must also learn and update their knowledge, product knowledge, and skills. Again, I hope this broadly, kind of meets what your company expects of your engineers and users as well. Now, I want to lay out some facts before we proceed. The way we solve problems has definitely changed, right? Today, to solve problems, we need to discover meaningful information and knowledge. And again, when I talk about knowledge, I'm talking about all the tips, tricks, and so forth to help users be more efficient. I want to use Creo Parametric and Windchill as an example for the discussion today. But bear in mind that since ours is a platform, it works with, pretty much any of the enterprise applications out there. You are one among millions of Creo and Windchill users, right? Obviously, PTC has a lot of users. Now, the problems with Creo and Windchill are typically common across the user base. Agreed, there may be certain things that are very specific to your company, but overall, given that it's a product that, these 2 products are widely used, the problems generally are common. And all the 40,000 plus admins across the world are seeking the same answers that you are. Yes, some are vocal about it and others are not. So the question is, how can you easily access the product knowledge, right? And remember, when I talk about product knowledge, what I mean. Now, is the answer just go to PTC website and, kind of get the answers there? I would say stop, because PTC or any other software OEM provides less than 10% of the product information that you need for you to be successful with their products. And that's because there is an entire ecosystem of partners, customers, and other talented experts around the world that know the software pretty well. And if I had to just paint the picture of what the Datascape looks like for just Creo Parametric, does not include Windchill, does not include, any of the other products. There are about 98,000 videos for Creo, about, 400,000 online discussions, 7,000 bugs, 13,000 help articles, 24,000 CS articles or workarounds, a lot of open bugs, tons of new features, a lot of customer presentations, and really a lot of reference documents. And why am I saying this? This is because we already had over 500,000 pieces of content that's readily available for you. And this was back in 2018. And new content is becoming available every minute of the day. And that's just increasing this overall amount. So it's staggering amounts of data. Now, if you were to take an example of just one PTC partner and Tristar, if you look at just Tristar's channel on YouTube, they offer over 200 videos that amounts to over 58 hours of tutorials from Tristar alone. Forget about the rest of the ecosystem. And if you think about it, it would take 7 full days, including weekends. Nobody would ever do that. Would just hypothetically take 7 days to watch the entire content, and this does not include the tons of other content from the overall PTC ecosystem. And the reason Tristar wanted that information there is because they wanted customers such as yourselves to be successful when you're learning, using, or problem solving Creo, Parametric, or Windchill. So it's not the lack of information that's the challenge, but it's gleaning meaningful information to solve the problems that's the challenge, right? And I'm sure you would have seen this this graphic around what happens in an internet minute, which is very interesting. And this talks to over 30 hours of videos that are being uploaded every minute. Granted, it's not 30 hours of Creo or Windchill, but the idea that there is staggering amounts of information that's continuously being added, and there is valuable information for us to access and make use of, is very important. So no one company has the time to create the knowledge or the product training across all aspects of Windchill or Creo or any enterprise app. So the question is, why would you not want to leverage the existing sources of data? And that's because we are faced with a number of challenges, right? Again, goes back to my previous point, it's the age of overload. We are all bombarded with information, and according to one of the studies, our attention span has gone to just 8 seconds, which is apparently less than that of a goldfish. We're also in the age of on-demand and real-time, and you would remember the days when we would, wait for 10 minutes for the PC to boot, and today we expect everything to happen at the click of a button. It's also the age of self-reliance and personalization, where users expect technology to change or adjust to their needs, just like the way our GPS systems do. It's also the age of changing expectations, because knowledgeable people are retiring and younger, technically savvy people are coming in with newer or more different expectations. And of course, there is a cost to not finding information. And here's an IDC report that talks to about $2.5 million wasted per year because they are not able to locate or find the right information at the right time. So with that said, enterprise users now have new expectations. People don't like waiting. People are, your users are expecting personalized experience, and everything to be contextual, meaning even this, the email ad symbol does not show up on your phone if you're not typing an email. So it's all very contextual. Put another way, users seek an overall product experience. People, users want instant answers. They don't want to wait for an SME or a help desk to respond. They prefer self-help, not human help. And, users also prefer personalized knowledge as opposed to generic information meant for the masses. And that's why we built Punditas Advisor. It's the AI platform for enterprise product knowledge. So how are we able to do that? We make the connection. We make the connection between the user's context. For example, if somebody is looking for welding on a constant basis, then we, offer based on the product. That is, we connect the user's context with the enterprise product and content from 9 dimensions. And we believe there are only 9 dimensions of information to any product. And what this allows us to do is create that, learning between what the user actually wants based on the environment that they're looking at and based on the products that they are interacting with on a daily basis. So if I were to paint the picture of what it looks like, the Punditas Advisor looks like for the admin. So we support all of the 4 use cases, and very quickly I want to cover the first one, which is how could admins proactively monitor the product issues. So we offer multiple ways of doing that, and admins, as soon as they log into our system, you can pick and choose the products that you would like and the products within your environment. And this is the dashboard view that gives you the health of all the products in your in your company. So this is a dashboard view that provides you the resolved issue trends for the versions that you care about, whether it's Creo, Windchill, or whatever products. And here is the reported issues. This is actually reported issues, resolved issues, and all of the upgrade related stuff that you might be interested. So we have the upgrade tile that's constantly monitoring all that's happening from over 50 different forums coming in from your team, extended team of admins around the world. And we also keep an eye on the release calendar, so you have all the information as soon as you log into the system. You could also identify the trends, SPR trends, based on the product version you care about. Here I've chosen Creo Parametric 4, and this is talking to the resolved SPRs in Creo, which is shown in the orange bubble, and the reported SPR trends in the blue bubble. Now, you can also dig deeper into the SPR details. For example, you can select Creo 3 M30 as well as Creo 3 M150, and you can actually go in and review the total count of SPRs, as well as you can get into the details of the modules that are interesting to you. So based on your module of interest, we can actually go in and look at all of the available SPRs, the open SPRs. You could also look at the enhancements, and here I've selected the Creo 5.0 release screen, and for 50.0, 1.0 as well as 2.0. And this is giving you the total count of all the enhancements, as well as you can go in here and look at the enhancements that are of interest to you. As an example, I've selected one of the enhancements that PTC has made around. So one of the enhancements that PTC has introduced is uninstalling Creo applications. And what you see here is not only can you access that enhancement, but all of the related help articles, videos, discussions, all of them streamed in within the context of this enhancement. So you do not have to go to 50 different places to go seek that information. All the information is within your context. So again, out of that 13,000 help articles, we found only 25 of them pertaining to this module name installation and summary. So again, it's really powerful in getting you only the information that you need to get to. Again, I'm just doing this at a high level. Please do let us know if you want to dig deeper into any one of these aspects. Today, I just wanted to give you an overview of our application. There is a lot of depth and breadth that, just covering the high level of detail here. The second expectation, like we spoke about of the admin, is around troubleshooting and resolving the user-related issues, and it's really simple, right? You might think that after the initial launch, there would be much less work going on, but generally speaking, users do have problems, and you can turn to Punditas advisor to get that the guidance. So let's say a user is seeking help on the topic of Creo Toolkit. Now you can come into Punditas and just look for the topic Creo Toolkit. And here we have a structured delivery of 9 dimensions of product information, all the way from help-related articles to references, to CS articles or workarounds, features, discussions, open issues, videos, and closed issues, and so forth. Now, I can go in, and if I were to select the discussions option here, I would get discussions from the PTC user community, MCAT Central community, MSDN community, and if I just go into any one of those threads, you can go directly into the micro MSDN community, and this is actually way back in 2008. So the power of this tool comes in where you have, all the information you need to be, answering the questions or resolving the problems very easily. Now, then I'm going to just quickly march through these. So the next expectation is around strategizing and upgrading the software. And this could include a minor update or a major upgrade of the software. So let's see, the first thing before you update or upgrade, you want to find out who else in the world has adopted Creo as an example or Windchill using the adoption trends. So we have a really nice module which talks to the adoption trends. And again, remember that none of the software vendors would be willing to provide this information proactively to you. Now, what we are trying to do is gather all of the adoption trends based on our AI algorithms and provide you with a snapshot of who else in the world is using, let's say, Creo 3.0 and 30, along with it, all of the other releases. So this is a snapshot view of how well Creo is adopted. And this is a good data point for you to consider as you upgrade your software. Now, you might also consider the product compatibility, right? So this is where you would say, okay, check if a couple of versions are compatible with your version of the software that you have deployed, whether it's Creo or Windchill, right? So you can come in here and look for the compatibility status, where you can say, look, I'm looking for Creo 4.0 and 60. Does it work with Windchill 11.1 Foo as an example? So you could do that with compatibility status. Also, you can get access to all of the third-party components of Windchill all in one place. You never have to go to all of those, matrices, the 50-odd pages of matrices. So you would get all of the third-party dependencies. And what's more important is also all of the problems, the opinions, the comments, and discussions from various forums. Like I said, over 50 different forums, all streamed in when you are looking for information about one particular thing. And in this case, I'm looking for Java JDK server-side on Windows Server 2016, and all of the related information is automatically streamed in. So you can be much more productive and efficient with your upgrade. Now, you can also get the list of all supported upgrade paths, so you can find out how to go from where you are to where you want to be. And this is where, all of the compatibility between, you can say I am at 11.0 and 30, and show me all the available upgrade paths. And you would get all of the caveats as stated by PTC, and you can not only check the supported upgrade paths, but also all of the related reference documents and discussions within this context of the upgrade that you're planning. So with that said, I've covered the first 3 use cases or the first 3 expectations of the admins, and now I'd like to go into the 4th expectation of the company, which is around monitoring and training the organization based on the needs of the organization. So hopefully this is making sense to you, and I know a few questions have come up, and I will address them as I get to the end of the presentation, because some of the questions hopefully will get answered as we go along. So now, turning to the monitor and training your user base based on the needs. I want to begin by saying that there are 2 sides to any training or knowledge dissemination. On the one side, you have the folks that would author and deliver the product knowledge, and that could be the CAD, PLM, IT, whatever, the admins. It could also be the SMEs, the super users, or the engineers themselves. And on the other side, we have the people that will receive and use the product knowledge, which would be the users or the engineers. Now, to train, I first want to understand the parameters for success, right? And there are 2 parameters, for us to be successful with training. One is the engineers, and the second is the product knowledge. I mean, simply put, for engineers to leverage the enterprise product knowledge, they need to gain knowledge, right? To use the products, they need to gain knowledge. And when I talk about enterprise products, it could be ThingWorx, Vuforia, Creo, Windchill, whatever. Now, to me, the product knowledge is a function of user, the product, and the version. And I highlight version because being an expert in the good old Pro Engineer or Creo Elements Pro or Windchill Foundation is not the same as being an expert in the version that's deployed at your company. But then, it goes without saying that deeper the product knowledge, the faster your engineers or users can solve issues and be productive, right? So if you think about it, your engineers are not paid to become experts in third-party applications because they have a real job to do, which is, develop your company's products. So the question is, how are your engineers gaining product and process knowledge today? I do want to paint a picture of, what the current state of the product and process training is. Perhaps you might, have formal training classes to train your users. You might have on-demand training, internal training, wikis with a lot of information, or perhaps SharePoint sites with information. I mean, this is what we have generally seen, with the hundreds and thousands of customers that we have been talking to. With that said, I see a number of challenges with the current state. The first challenge with the current state is that the training is not tailored to each individual's skill level or their interest. A simple example, right? So the consumption of the training, the media, varies between people, right? Some people might like video, while others might like mixed mode, which is videos plus text, to learn about something, to, undergo training. Another important thing is, in today's world of choices, one presentation style does not cut it, because if the person does not like the way the author is narrating or presenting the story or communicating, then people are not going to use that piece of content, which means the content becomes ineffective. Time, of course, is a big factor. Because of the tight schedules, engineers and users are not able to set aside time for training. That means they are stuck with dated knowledge. And I think one of the key things is the tracking of the applicability of training. And what I mean by that is, today there is no way for you to track if the training that was taken actually, makes sense within the day-to-day, issues that your users are facing. And we are trying to address all of these challenges with our platform. So if I had to ask you the question, are your existing training methods effective? Now, these are the typical comments from hundreds of engineers that we have spoken to. What we have heard is, I never use what I learned. What I really need is to chart my own course. Oh, it's a week of training, I can't do that. Or I can't wait to get an answer from an SME or a help desk. I need the answer now, right? So I hope you're seeing similar comments from your user base as well. So I think it's fair to say that the time-tested methods aren't working. And that's because it's the age of, we've already talked about it. It's the age of overload, age of real-time and on-demand, and age of self-reliance and changing expectations. Clearly, the expectations have changed. And doing nothing does not solve the problem and will cost you big bucks, right? Because your engineers are not going to get less overloaded with time, and younger workforce is already in. The question is, how can your engineers gain product and process knowledge efficiently? And that's where we can help, right? So we can help because we can monitor your knowledge or the training needs. We can also deliver targeted training through the use of knowledge paths, and your engineers can receive targeted training and use the product effectively. So let me begin by talking about the first option, which is how you can monitor and train your users more effectively. But before we start, training them, we need to understand the pain points of your users. So the question is, how are you discovering your pain points, users' pain points today? Again, I have a point of view and would love to hear your thoughts. Possibly, you might look at the number of calls logged, either with your internal team or maybe, with PTC help desk if your users have access. Some companies don't have, but others might. Or maybe the number of emails from your users, or maybe casual one-on-one conversations. And I would imagine to address these pain points, you might buy additional PTC training licenses create internal training materials or update your wiki pages, SharePoint sites, and the traditional methodologies of identifying the pain points. And here's how you would do it with Punditas Advisor. Now, very simply, I want to break this training mentoring use case into 3 steps. First, I want to monitor the needs of the organization, then formulate and develop the knowledge paths to address the need, and then track the usage of these published paths. So let me begin by talking to how we can support the monitoring piece of it. So I would imagine when you think about monitoring, you want to get visibility into the user's pain points, a line of sight into the areas where users need to be trained. You also want a categorization of the training needs. That means users of a particular group may require training on certain aspects, while others, may not. So example, some people might want training on change notices and others may not. And then also, I think it's very important for you to learn about user behavior and commitment towards training. So let's see how Punditas Advisor can help you with this. So we have a dedicated module called the Knowledge Analytics module, and within that module, we have the Knowledge Needs. So the Knowledge Needs option helps you discover the needs of your organization. So if I dig deeper, this is the Knowledge Needs dashboard view, and this has 3 distinct tiles. So the first tile is called Hot Strings, which identifies what's bothering your users the most, the topics that are bothering your users the most. The second aspect, or the second tile, is what we call the Hot Topics, and it measures and quantifies the pain point. That is, how bad or how deep is the problem. The third tile shows you how identifies the specifics of the users and their requirements. And I will dig deeper into each one of these to show you what we can do. So if I dig into the Hot Strings option, so this is giving us the top 10 topics that is on your user's mind at the moment. And basically what this is giving you is insight into the user's pain points, also the line of sight into the areas where your users need to be trained. And if I were to go ahead and click this More button here, we have built this relationship between the users and the topics. So each of these big blue bubbles represent the user, and these little blue bubbles are the topics that your users are constantly looking for. Now, what we are doing is every topic that your user looks for, we add a small blue dot on this graph. And essentially, we are building an interactive force-directed graph that's actually calculating the attractive and repulsive forces between the nodes. So as an example, this is telling you that user number 202 is very active and is looking for information about family table along with the other users. And you can dig deeper. Actually, we have a number of options that will help you slice and dice. What are the keywords? How are they related to the users? How often are they being searched on? And so forth. Now, moving on to the next tile, which is the Hot Topics tile. This is giving you a quantitative account of your user's needs. That means you can plan your training, plans and your training, your user base much more efficiently, because now you know exactly what they're struggling with, as opposed to just pushing some training without knowing what their needs are or what their pain points are. So this graphic here is showing you that 90 people are searching for the word or the topic welding. This indicates that your organization, one of two things, right? Maybe people started on a new project that, requires some welding related stuff, or maybe people are needing training in that area, and, you can then proceed to, take the relevant appropriate action. Now, the third tile is all around strings and users, and this highlights the user behaviors, and that's why we call it a user behavior recognition tool. And what this is doing is our AI engine identifies which users need training or assistance and in what areas. So we are able to pinpoint and say, hey, user number 202 seems to want assistance in the area of visualization services and change management, but user 829 cares only about welding. And so this is again providing you a direct line of sight into the user's interest and their skill level. And also, users of a particular group may require training on certain aspects. And that's where when you click on this user info option, we would bring up this dialog. And what this is giving you is specifics about a single user that you might be interested in, or you could identify, the topics that are interesting to your users within a certain period of time. So you could say, show me in the last week, what are people looking for, right? And again, these are folks from my company, but this is the idea here is that, people are looking for a lot of things, and you would be able to investigate the user's behaviors and patterns. Not only that, you can investigate the problematic areas so you can formulate your training plan. So, for example, you can search for a particular topic that you might be planning to train, and you would get all of the people that are actually looking for that particular topic. So this is giving you concrete information, both qualitatively and quantitatively, for you to proceed with the next step of creating that training, or what we call the knowledge path. So up to now, what you have seen is the ability to monitor the needs of your organization. So we are able to identify the user pain points, gain insights into the user's behavior at a high level, like what's bothering your user base and how deep is the problem, as well as gain insights into your user patterns at a low level, right? And the way this would work is it's all part, or it can be part of the Creo embedded browser, and almost all of our customers have just pointed, the URL within the embedded browser. They're just pointing it to our URL, and when your engineers or users search for information, let's say they come in here and plug in family table, then this information is turned around to the admin users as part of the knowledge needs module, so you can identify the topics or the areas that are interesting to your users. So with that said, what I have covered is how we can discover the pain points of your user base. The next question is, okay, what do we do about it? And that's where the second step comes into play, where you can formulate and develop the knowledge path or the training to address the need. To train, I want to say we need to collect and disseminate all available information, right? I mean, that's the holistic training. But then the knowledge itself is distributed. It is distributed. It's also distributed amongst within your own company as well as across the world. Also, it's the information or the knowledge is available in 20 different formats. For example, YouTube has a different format as opposed to PTC help documentation, the presentations, the plain HTML pages that you go to, and so forth. And it's also stored in literally hundreds of different repositories. So with that said, the point that I made earlier, that the data never sleeps, meaning products are changing every single day. Lots of new bugs are introduced, bugs are fixed, new tutorials are constantly available. So you would be missing critical information if you did not keep up with this constantly changing data. The question is, do you have the time to research and make sense of this distributed, heterogeneous, constantly changing data to deliver your targeted training? And I would say absolutely not, because we have over 500,000 important pieces of content just for Windchill and Creo that we have discovered using our machine learning algorithms that we can readily provide to you. And that's where, again, we can help, because our AI engine is able to detect the user's context to deliver personalized content. And we are continuously discovering new product content. And our machine learning algorithms are automatically discovering data from hundreds of repositories and curating millions of pieces of product content so we can deliver it to you. And towards that end, we have introduced two concepts. One is called tagging for personalization and knowledge path, which I've alluded to a few times earlier. I want to cover these two concepts because they're very critical in enabling the this with knowledge path creation and tracking. So I want to begin with tagging. And we believe that every piece of content has a story to tell, whether it's a video, an SPR, or a help. And that content, it has been written by the author, and the story is being told by the author, whoever wrote that piece of content, in their own words. But those words may not resonate with your users, right? Let's take an example. What do you call this? It's an eggplant in North America, aubergine in Britain and France, and it's called brinjal in Asia, and that's how I knew it. Growing up, I knew it only as brinjal. So it's about this thing, but it goes by different names. Similarly, in Punditas, you can tag things. You can tag the same thing with 3 different names. Now, let's take a real-world example of, creating a family table. So this is, as you can see, from PTC Learning Connector, and the author, which is PTC in this case, called it creating a family table. Now, when one of the users looked at it, this user found symbolic name switching as an interesting part of this video. So that person tagged it as symbolic name switching. Another person found slot in FT as an interesting part and called it slot in FT. And the third person found searching in FT as an example. So each person or each user can tag the exact same video based on what they see important in that particular video. And that's exactly how we do things in Punditas, and that's why we are able to provide all of this information within the context. Now, simply put, a tag consists of a basic quadruple in the Punditas advisor world. It's a user, resource, tag, and time. And users can tag things to find them later. It provides a sense of participation for the users and enables admins to monitor the needs of the organization. Now, turning to the knowledge paths, simply put, knowledge paths are a string of tags. So you can create a collection of best practices, product tutorials, or basically any sequence of things, and it allows you to deliver knowledge from SMEs, super users, and so forth. Now, each admin, SME, or super user, they can create their own knowledge path within Punditas. So as an example, let's say you're looking for family table in Punditas. You would discover these 9 different dimensions for your topic of interest, and you find 55 videos. And when you find the video, as you can see here on the left side, we have all of the channels from which we found the video. Like I said, PTC only provides probably less than 10% of the information back. 90% comes from the ecosystem. And here's an example of how information is coming from the ecosystem. And now let's say it's again back to the same creating family table video, and every user can tag with whatever they think, helps them remember this particular thing. So let's say I find family table instances as an interesting part of this video. I can go ahead and tag this. Now, all of my tags are visible in this tag dashboard. So I have my videos, and I can get a preview of the video that I've tagged, and these videos can come from YouTube, Vimeo, PTC Learning Connector, ptcuser.org, and ptcuser.nl, all over the place, right? And similarly, you can tag help articles. You can also search and preview the documents. So these are all, as you can see here, PTC Live, Global, and PTC, user conferences. So this is in fact from Raytheon, and they are talking to, how you can transition to a model-based culture. Basically, depending on the topic that you are searching for, you can very easily find that information and tag it as well. So it's not just videos and help, but it could be SPRs, open bugs, closed bugs, whatever it is. And of course, your company has tons of documents and videos and so forth, and your users can tag documents on your internal servers and find them later with Punditas. So as an example, you can have we call this bubble chart, and here you see the bubble chart from PTC ecosystem, but also the second bubble chart, which is of the Acme Corporation, which can be your company, and your users can retrieve both the documents and the videos as well within the context of these 500,000 pieces of content that is available from the PTC ecosystem. Now, how users can tag documents, and your internal documents can also be tagged. Now, once we have the tags, we are now going to go ahead and create these knowledge paths. So this is where I'm creating a knowledge path. I'm going to drag and drop all of these tags from the the left pane and create my own knowledge path. So here's the knowledge path, which is around Introduction to Creo 5 Day 2. That what I've attempted to show you here is based on all the free stuff that's available on the web. I've created a Creo 5 training. And you would notice that this knowledge path has not only videos, but it can have help articles, it can have FPRs, whatever piece of information that you think is relevant to that particular training or knowledge path. So here are all the knowledge paths that are based, Sketcher Basics, Creo UI, and so on and so forth. So you can create any number of knowledge paths. And one of the nice things about this application is that all the knowledge paths are shareable by admins. So as an admin user, when you click on this button here, the link button, you would get into the private mode where users of your company are seen. As an example here, you will see the 11 users, and you can pick and choose either all of your users to share the knowledge path with, or perhaps only one or two of your users. Now, on the other side, when the users receive, they will be able to look at this training or the knowledge path. But what the users cannot see, this red X, and that's the admin privileges only. So users cannot delete company shared training. So as an example, knowledge path, they advise and guide your organization. Here's an example of how you could share company's best practices. So here we can create a knowledge path for the best practices for family tables, and this could include all of the publicly available content along with PTC content plus your own content, because things, best practices vary from company to company. So it's one place where you have a collection of all the best practices. And then problem resolution steps. You can also create the steps to resolve a problem using the knowledge path. So you have step 1, step 2, step 3, and to get an overall size of Creo model in XYZ format, you can articulate the stepwise procedure. Or knowledge path can also be the vehicle for providing product process tutorials and training. Here's an example, Creo 5 training shared with the users. You can go module-wise or however you choose it to be. So when shared, these knowledge paths become available in the company tab of the knowledge path dashboard, and this is where all admin shared knowledge paths become available. And one more thing, admins cannot do it all, right? Obviously, there's only so many hours in a day, and that's where you can leverage every user to your advantage and deliver these knowledge paths across the organization. So with that said, we have seen how admins can deliver targeted training, and you can create content-rich training and also train selectively, and these knowledge paths become visible in the user's face. And the next step along this path is tracking the usage of published knowledge paths. And this is where I want to introduce you to the knowledge usage module within our application. And this tracks the knowledge paths by popularity, by media type, as well as by user consumption. So here's the knowledge path by popularity, which is trying to tell you of all the knowledge paths or the training that you have deployed. This tells you what is the most popular training. So in this case, Introduction to Creo 5 turns out to be the most popular training. Another way to look at it is by tag type. And what I mean by that is these are the individual tags. And these tags could represent presentations, help articles, enhancements, bugs, videos, and so forth. And this is giving you a number of times that a particular tag has been viewed. So again, what I'm looking at here is the datum plane creation, which includes all of these tags. And it turns out that the video here, basic use of datum plane, is the most viewed. So this is telling you two things, that your users care about this type of information and they care about videos mostly. Perhaps if there are, if it depends on what people are looking at, but you get those analytics for you to kind of consider that as you create the training. The knowledge path by users is is providing you specifics about who's really, looked at your training information or the knowledge path information. So here's an example of additive manufacturing in Creo 4, and these are all the knowledge tags. And this is telling you all of the users and their current state. As an example, I'm one of the culprits. I've not even started looking at the training, but other people on the team, some have completed, some have partially done. So basically, we are able to track each piece of content and, and the relative status of that, whether users have, trained themselves in that part of the product or not. So basically, we are able to track the style and preference of your user base. So do most people like videos, textual docs, or whatever. Also, we can track the commitment of your user base to leveraging training. Who has completed which training and so forth. And then we believe that this is a behavior changing tool. In fact, one of our customers gave this, used this word, and that's how we put it here. So managers can incorporate knowledge goals as part of the yearly performance review of their engineers, and now we can track their commitment and to training and leveraging the information. So with that said, we have, first been able to monitor the organization's knowledge needs, formulate and develop the knowledge path, and then track the usage of the published knowledge path. Now, we have looked at, kind of the first portion of this where admins and SMEs and super users can train and mentor the user base. And now moving on to the user side where they would be able to leverage the training. Not only that, I want to cover one aspect to it, that is our platform is based on the 4 M's to effective learning. And Michael Allen, one of the researchers, talked to how we forget less if we deliver meaningful, or if the information is meaningful, memorable, motivational, and measurable. And what we strive to do with Punditas is deliver only meaningful information from hundreds of repositories and based on millions of pieces of content within the user's context. And one aspect of those 4 M's is the motivational, and that's where we have also incentivized learning by creating, encouraging friendly competition and using gaming principles. And a simple example of that would be, this module here, tips and tricks module within Punditas Advisor, which rewards the user with both knowledge and points. And what we are doing here is very, I'm going to say trickle feeding, if there is a word for that. We are trying to nudge the user to learn something new on a constant basis. So we say, hey, what would you like to learn today, as soon as they click on that module? So we present 10 videos, 10 help, and 10 enhancements. And if you see here, we say, hey, have you seen this video around constant sweep? If the user finds it interesting, they would just go click on that video on the right side and look at it. And they would also be awarded points for tagging this video and also learning. So continuously the users are, can continuously learn and update their skills. And as they learn, they're also inducted into the Hall of Fame. Again, some users subscribe to this idea of, rewards and stuff, and others do not. But we do have the movers and shakers, which would, kind of induct people into the Hall of Fame based on, their viewing of the videos and commenting and tagging and so forth. With that said, I want to wrap up by saying that what we have covered is at a very, very high level, how we can do individualized product training, timely help for issue resolution, continuous learning based on user style, and then monitoring, developing, and tracking the organization knowledge needs. And this would help you improve your user productivity, increase your user confidence, lower the operational costs, and release some free time for the admins, and also helps your users and admins make smarter decisions. With that, I'd like to open it up for questions. And so we do have a couple questions. How are you compiling the adoption trends, and what data sets are you pulling from to come up with that information? So great question. So the adoption trends information is based on the information from within our user base. So the Punditas user base is directly contributing. So when you log in, we ask information anonymously as to what are your current versions, and so that we can compile that information and provide that as a data point for all customers. Hopefully that answers your question. And how do you validate, the second question is, how do you validate the legitimacy and the quality of training content that your AI tool discovers? Is there any sort of QC that disseminates the information and compares to the industry's best practice? Great question. So we do two things. One, we have, like I said, our machine learning algorithms that are discovering the content, and that's, the stage one. The stage two is where we are training our algorithm to spot those keywords, and based on the user behavior, as well as based on our own QC. So our machine algorithms are being trained, and the second aspect is my team actually reviews the and confirms that it's all validated information. So we have a very strict process in place that would train the machine algorithms continuously. It's getting better over time as the learning algorithm gets better over time. And at this point, it's also a human element, which is my QC team, along with a bunch of algorithms that we are continuously developing as well. So it's manual plus automated is how we are able to validate the legitimacy of the information. Hopefully that makes sense. Otherwise, please let me know, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Any comments, thoughts, or suggestions? Awesome. So please do let us know if this is interesting. We would be happy to do a deep dive into any of these tools. And we look forward to hearing back from you. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you jumping on the call and listening to us. Thanks, and you have a wonderful day. Bye for now.